make apple pie, and to make apple pie you should have a variety of apples. Strong apples that are hard, not ripe and soft. Do not make apple pie with a Macintosh or you'll have a mushy pie. We need 4 pounds of apples, which we will core and slice, and then we're going to do something a little bit different. Usually you put it all in the pie crust and bake it. What we do is cook the apple interior a little bit for 12 minutes in a big pot and let it cool, and we'll roll out our pie crust and chill our pie crust and then fill it with the cooled filling. Peel and core our apples, 4 pounds of apples mixed with 2/3 cups of sugar and 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, which we will toss together. Melt 4 tablespoons of butter in a pot. Add the sugared apples in there. Cook for 12 minutes. Add 2 tablespoons of flour, a teaspoon of cinnamon, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Cook it for another 3 minutes, and then we're going to let it cool. As the filling cools, we will roll out our basic pie crust, which you can see on my other videos, basic pie crust, into a pan. When we roll out the bottom layer pie crust, we will put it in our pan, and we're going to put it in our pie pan and refrigerate it for at least an hour, chill it. Then we're going to fill it with our apple pie filling and make a decorative top and bake it. Peeler corer, which is a great little device, and you see here above my head how it's done, and you get a spiral of apples and it's cored out. Anyway, and then I just cut them in half. Peeling our apple with the peeler and then coring it, whichever way works best for you. These are Cortlands and Pink Ladies and Galas. That's what I have here. But it's 4 pounds of apples. This is another way of slicing up your apple if you do not have an apple corer peeler. Now we're going to put in our 2/3 cups of sugar and the lemon juice. We're going to start the pot. We're going to start this pot and put in 4 tablespoons of butter, which we're going to melt, and then add our apples. Spread the sugar loaf around all the apples with the spatula or your hands, whichever helps best with the mixing. Roll out the dough, chill it, and then we will fill it once the filling has cooled down as well. People flour the counter and have flour all over the place. I use saran wrap. I usually get the thicker one for the bottom because you always need more pie crust for the bottom than you do for the top. We're going to roll this out, place it in our pie plate and chill it for an hour. So remember, if you roll out your pie crust in a square format, I know this sounds strange, you will get a perfect circle. So vertically, horizontally, diagonally. Get the cracked edges. What's really handy about this, you flip it, now you got the other side you can work with. Unwrap it again to crimp in your circle. So there. Then we take our trusty little pan, help me flip this over. As you can see, it's a perfect 12-inch flattened pie crust, which we will transfer to our pie plate, crimp it, and chill it until we're going to chill it until our filling has cooled down. And when you put your pie plate on top, you see that you have that 1 inch of give to go up to up the sides of the pie plate. So we flip it in. You want to bake your pie on a pan so the sugars do not overflow and burn the bottom of your oven and get that lovely smoke detector going. So we'll just crimp this in. I tend to leave the overhang because then when we put the other part of the pie crust on top, it helps us crimp it together. Put it in the fridge, and then we'll fill it up with the cooled filling. Our melted butter, and we're going to add our apples and sugar and lemon juice. Now remember the sugar we put onto the apples with lemon juice before we put it in the pan so it could absorb, so the apples can get coated with the sugar. We put everything in, and we're going to let this simmer on a medium heat for 12 or so minutes. Add our flour and cinnamon and salt, and let it cook for just 2 minutes with the flour, cinnamon, and salt. So we're going to cook this on a medium high, right in the middle, medium. Cook it for 12 minutes approximately. Add your 2 tablespoons of flour, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon of cinnamon. Coat it, which will take just 2 minutes. And then we're going to let this cool before we fill in the pie plate. Have the apples cooked for 12 or 15 minutes. And now we're going to place it in our chilled pie plate. Spread them evenly. So the leftover 2 tablespoons of butter we're going to dot into places here of the apple pie.
Hey, boys, my wife, she made you a fruitcake. Why, thank you. Whoa, heavy. Feels more like a pound.
We've prepared here, flattened out the top disc, and now we're going to put it on top. We're going to overlay it in a circular pattern to make a fan looking top.
To the north and to the east. No hidden cameras. Hey, it seems like you've got this real holiday zest going. You know what? What do you say you fly solo? Solo? Solo. Oops. Oh, another one. Do you like that? I don't. That one? Too bad. Oh, here we go. Go with your gut, kid. It's jingle time.
Put some egg wash on here, and then we're going to sprinkle it with some sugar.
Subject has been sparkled. Hey, is this one of the big guy's cookies? Not anymore. We are definitely behind schedule now.
Make sure you make a hole or slits on your pie crust. Here I have a hole because we need it to vent, or it'll steam out. And then we'll put our pie shield around the edges so they don't burn. We'll bake it for approximately an hour. So we're going to bake at 425 for 30 minutes, then reduce it to 350 and bake it for another half an hour. So we egg washed it with some nice brown raw sugar on it. Heated the oven to 425, bake it for 30 minutes, reduce it to 375, and bake it for another hour or until it's bubbling. We put some egg wash on the crust, some raw sugar on top, put your pie shield on top so it doesn't burn the edges. So we're going to bake our lovely pie for 425, 30 minutes, reduce it to 375, and for an hour until it's golden brown and bubbly. But always the last 10 minutes we'll take off the pie crust shield to brown out the edges. We'll see you in an hour. Apple pie. Buen provecho. Enjoy. Get off the dish because the syrup tends to always pour out. Why? I don't know. Wipe it on a wet paper towel. Take off the excess. That's all cleaned up. You have yourself a delicious apple pie. Enjoy. Buen provecho.